probably the most out of any top EU team. No one really knows. They do like crazy stuff all the time.
Okay,
So
so they just kind of come out of left field and they'll do like what's an example of the craziness of their crazy?
uh, I don't know. I don't. We don't play them that often. That's I don't know. They pull out some weird stuff though that they just don't play like other teams, and they tend to use like a lot of pink wards, way more than any other team. They
Okay,
pink up the whole map pretty much.
which is an interesting cost thing because pink wards are of
Yeah,
course like
they
50
they
gold more
play really
expensive.
aggressive too.
Okay, so I mean,
Also.
but M5 has a history of playing very aggressively and not letting up on the gas pedal from the very start of the match. So is this going to be two really aggressive teams going against each other?
I think so, but it's gonna be interesting how they're gonna do without Alex, because a lot of the way M5 plays aggressive is a lot of the time like invading and counter jungling.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have control over mid lane, that's very hard to do. So with a sub, that's gonna be interesting. Like if Warhunter can get the same control over mid lane as Alex usually gets.
Yeah, I mean it'll be because Warhunter obviously being a sub. I mean there's a sub on Meteor Makers right now as well. So both teams not playing to their full 100% potential. The Alex itch, is it ick or itch? Is it ick?
I'm not even sure.
I'm not
I
even sure.
think it's
I'm just gonna
itch.
say the Alex. The Alex factor is that when M5 is together as a full team, they play so well. You know, there's fantastic communication from Alex to Diamond, his jungler, from Darien to Diamond. But the fact that they have a jungler in one of the most important roles of AP mid, they have a sub in one of the most important roles of AP mid. I'm interested to see if that's going to affect them in a negative way, because it very well could, and that would kind of suck to see.
Yeah.
See how the bans go. So as I asked, you know, eh, does Meteor Makers play any specific champions that M5 must ban, and does M5 play any champions that MYM must ban? You know, is there any targeted bans going on here, or is it just going to be normal bans?
I think it's just gonna be like strong champions banned for the most part. Like it's actually kind of interesting because the stuff that M5 are banning is kind of stuff people ban against them normally.
Okay, so they just don't want Twisted Fate or Warwick on the table at all. Now, this is
But
the
that
newest
that
patch.
has
Go ahead.
yeah, that could have something to do with Alex not being here. He's really good at Twist of Fate,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, since they have a sub for mid, and yeah, they're banning out mid champs that maybe Warhunter's not so comfortable against. Or
Yeah,
something.
it
I'm not
looks
sure.
like it. Now, this
I
is the
haven't.
newest patch with spectator mode, so Warwick has been nerfed. So he's not dealing 20% with his Hungering Strike anymore. He's only dealing 16%. The other bans, Twisted Fate, Ari, Urgot, Kog'Maw, and Morgana, pretty standard bans there if you ask me. Urgot, I know, is a very strong EU West carry, correct?
Yes,
A lot of people like to play him.
banned or picked pretty much every game.
And I think Ginch is a great Urgot player. I mean, he's a great AD carry player in general, right?
Yep.
Interestingly enough, Shin left on the table for Meteor Makers to pick up along with Graves. We'll see if they actually lock in that. I know a lot of players like to just kind of hover over different champions. Diamond Proc's locking in Soraka, so they're definitely going to have a Soraka on their team. Is also with Lee Sin being hovered over. I don't know if he's going to be in the jungle or if he's going to be top lane, but
Most likely jungle.
most likely jungle.
Diamond plays a lot of Lee Sin. Lee and Shyvana are his main champions.
Okay. And now is Soraka? I'm assuming that's going to be a support pickup, but I mean we have seen in recent tournaments Soraka being played as an AP mid. Is that something that occurs often in the US scene?
Pretty much never. I don't think I've seen it in any tournament game.
Okay. So
Actually.
I'm gonna go ahead and just assume that that's gonna be a support pick, and they're planning on picking up their AP carry just a little bit later. Oh, Ziggs could be the pickup. See, we've got a few seconds to see if he locks in. Oh, no, Ashe, changing to Ashe. Ashe versus Graves down bot. Looks like it's how it's going to be. How do you feel about that matchup?
Mm, depends a bit on the support, but Ashe is just gonna have to play kind of safe. Um, yeah, he's farm. She's better late, in my opinion.
Tarek is still on the table,
arrow.
and I know Tarek Graves is a nasty combination, but Sona potentially the pickup here as a support for Graves.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I would have think they would have gone with Tarek. Apparently no.
Kennen? No. I know AD Kennen is a thing, but they've already got Graves as their AD, so Kennen potentially going mid. I would assume with Shin going top, but Shin can also jungle. Let's take a look at these last picks. Jax.
And Jax has been, like, a lot of people have started to play him a lot more recently. Top lane, and even some jungle too. He's really strong. Like, no one really played him after the remake they did, but like, he does so much damage. So I think he's gonna be seen a lot more. He's really, really strong in lane.
I gotta get this stream leak real fast.
Right, picking a placeholder, something.
So I guess that's a placeholder.
Yeah.
Not quite sure who it would be for. Did they whisper you at all?
No, not yet.
I'm assuming that Eve isn't actually a pick. But
No,
maybe you
no.
people in EU West do crazy things.
No, not that crazy.
Not that crazy. You don't reach all the way back into the old Eve bag.
No, I don't think she'll be seeing very much use until they remake her.
They must have whispered one of the Meter Maker guys and told them what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and ask Gosu to see what they say. I'm assuming
it's pretty standard picks for M5. Like, they usually run stuff like this. They usually, I think my client bugged out of it.
Yeah, because they quit out. Eve is going to be Yorick, apparently.
Yeah.
Quit spectating.
Yeah, they use Yorick a lot. Both mid and top, actually.
Right, I'm going to see if the game is the same.
Yorick's another champ that has been seeing a lot of use lately on West. The last couple of weeks, people are starting using him a lot more.
People talking right now about Eve's viability. It's not Eve, guys. It's going to be Yorick. Don't worry. As soon as I get that invite. Did Alex? Alex didn't quit M5. Did he? There we go. Okay, we're here. I don't know, that was kind of weird. So I guess we're probably going to get out of the game and then start another one for blind pick so that these people can, you know, just go ahead and and pick the champions that they've already picked. So the teams, I believe, if I remember, were going to be Yorick, Rise, and as Rise, I haven't really played since Rise was changed a few days ago. How do you feel about the new Rise?
I haven't seen a single game of it, but like from just reading the notes, it looks like a buff to me.
Yeah, the move
One
speed
of
buff
his
on his ult is
biggest
weird.
problems, yeah, was chasing people down, and now he gets move speed. And they increased, like, even though they nerfed the base mana from ult and the mana scalings a bit, they moved it around more than a nerf. They upped the AP scaling and they buffed the base values. So like, I think from what I read, like his damage actually increased for most of the game.
Yeah, because I know he was just a super carry late game. Now they've kind of started to make him a threat at all stages in the game. You're never really gonna want to deal with a Rise. And the strongest part about Rise is just that, all he had to do was build great mana defensive items, and he did a whole lot of damage. He built the Banshee's Veil for damage. He built a Frozen Hearts for damage. He built the Tear of the Goddess for damage, and never really needed to turn it into an Archangel Staff. And I think that was one of the problems with him, is that you kind of just forever held onto a tier, because turning into an Archangel Staff was just an 860 gold investment for the Blasting Wand and the conversion cost, which I think is like 1,000 gold. It's just a sunk cost that you don't really need. Now, late in the game, when he wants to turn into an Archangel, he's actually going to get a little bit out of it, and he could potentially even do it a little bit earlier in the game, just to up his damage a little bit, now that they gave him some decent AP ratios, I would say.
I think another thing is also, if you want to go for a bit more of an aggressive build, you can go stuff like Rod of Ages now.
Yeah.
And that should give him a lot of damage with some better AP scaling. They did nerf the Q range a little bit though, but I don't know if that will do too much. And tiny bit of duration on the W. But overall, I still think it was a slight buff.
Yeah, so there's definitely a little bit more variety as far as Rise is concerned. Before, it was you get Catalyst, you get Tear, you get Banshees, you get Frozen Heart, and then you kind of just did whatever the heck you wanted, while still dealing a whole lot of damage and effectively countering the hell out of bruisers, because they would run in, they would get their attack speed slowed by Frozen Heart, you would just Rune Prison them, kite them, run away. Like, he's just such a great carry, and he just hyper carries late game. So this mid matchup that looks like it's going to be Kennen versus Rise, who do you think has the upper hand in this match?
I'm not really sure. It's not a matchup I see a whole lot. Like, most of the time, like a lot of the time lately, Kennen has been going top. Most matches I see.
Renekton in this case looks like he's going to be taking over the top role, and he is going to be going against a Yorick, who's just an insane bully. Do you think the Renekton burst and his early game potential is going to be able to stop Yorick from farming effectively? I mean, Renekton has the Kol the Meek to keep his sustain up in lane while he's taking all these ghoul hits to the face, but do you think it's going to be enough to keep him there to stop Yorick from farming?
No, I don't think. I'm not sure, but I think Yorick is just gonna out-sustain him. But it depends on, like, they need to use the Shen and gank Yorick early so he gets ahead. Like, the Renekton needs to be a bit ahead.
So Shen is going to be in the jungle against the Lee Sin jungle. Now, you said before Diamond Procs, of course, an excellent jungler, but also, on top of that, an excellent Lee Sin player. So he's going to have a lot of fun in a field day, I'm sure, playing his great Lee Sin. But is it Mokot? I'm not even quite sure. Is he equally as revered of a jungler?
Overall, I think the MYM team is less known.
Okay.
I'm not sure. He's a good player. I don't know. To me, he doesn't really stand out.
Yeah, from your standpoint as a jungler, are you, like, in this invasion scenario that M5 likes to run a lot? They do like to counter jungle a whole lot. Would you rather have the Shen or the Lee Sin on your team?
Well, that's kind of different because I don't think Diamond would ever play Shen.
Never.
It's just it just doesn't fit his playstyle.
Okay.
And yeah, he just doesn't play those champs. Like, he only plays strong fighters and stuff, no utility champs.
And usually you see Lee Sin's taking Exhaust and Smite when they're in the jungle, just to give them that little extra bit of an edge, and they already have so much mobility with the Resonating Strike and the Safeguard and whatnot. But Diamond actually choosing to go Flash here, is there any particular reason for that, you think? Or is it just because if he gets caught in an invade, he needs to have an early escape?
I think part of the reason could be that, like, in a 1v1 against Shen, he's gonna beat him without Exhaust. Ganking wise, I'm not sure, because Kennen can, like, get away and stuff. I think he just wants maybe the flash to flash behind people and kick them. Because like Exhaust is not gonna do that much when you gank like Renekton. He's gonna double jump anyway.
True.
Not sure really.
Yeah,
but they are running with only one Exhaust against Kennen.
Meteor Maker also taking one Exhaust, and you also see that this Graves is going to be rocking a Flash Ignite, which is something that you normally don't see in the NA scene. Is that a popular thing for AD carries to take in the EUS scene?
I haven't seen it a whole lot, but after the I think in the OGN, the Koreans use Ignite Flash and Graves, and they seem to value Graves as the best AD, because both teams picked it in the blind pick game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I've seen it a couple of games after that. It seems like it's pretty good if you want to go for an aggressive lane, but I'm not sure, because they healed nerf. They nerfed heal at the same time too.
That's true.
Last patch, so yeah, I think it's pretty good.
So now it's just kind of less of an incentivized thing. When heal was first buffed, heal was just like on every person and every AD carry. But now it did receive a recent little nerf in the last patch. I think you'll see it kind of fall out of grace just a little bit, but I still think it's a decently strong summoner spell.
Yeah, it's still good.
I remember used to before the buff, heal was like the jokest of the joke summoner spells, you know, aside from like Rally. But now it's really found a place, and we'll see what this buff, or this nerf rather, does to it here. It looks like Soraka getting an early ward down. Shen going to go ahead and start with his Wraiths and then potentially move on to red buff and get an early gank off. Lee Sin looks like he's having the same idea. The only difference there is that Lee Sin, being on the blue team, is going to be a little bit further from the top lane that he may want to gank, and he may have to resort to going down to ganking bottom. We'll see what Lee Sin decides to do after he finishes off these Wraiths and that red buff.
I'm not sure why, but Sona and Graves started to move in to stop the double golems, but then they just turned around.
And now it looks like they're waiting in that bot brush, so maybe they're looking for a nice little buckshot Q combo from Sona Graves. Let's see. And there's a face check there. There goes the Ignite countering the Soraka heal. So already Ginja is going to be rolling with about 100 health, forced to chug his first potion to keep him back up.
Yeah, Sona has insane burst level 1.
She really does.
Even though they nerfed her a while ago, still really strong.
And coupled with Graves' buckshot, that's just a whole lot of damage. Now, just letting the viewers know, I'm going to try out directed camera here, and we're going to see how it works out. If you guys don't like it, please let me know. This is my first time actually using directed camera. So no early ganks coming out. Lee Sin securing his blue buff right now. Shen finishing off his wolf camp. They both have their red buff, of course, but no early ganks unless Diamond is going to move up to transition to top lane and see a gank there.
I'm pretty sure Diamond's going to move up top after this, yeah.
But Shen looks like he may have the same idea. However, he is going to his own race right now. So let's see if this Lee Sin can do any damage to this Renekton up here. Renekton does have his Slice and Dice, so he's going to be able to get out of there. There's a safeguard to a creep. Renekton using his Slice and Dice to get out of there. The Tempest Cripple, and just not quite able to follow up. They did burn Renekton's flash up there, so that'll be on cooldown for the next 4 seconds. I apologize. Directed camera threw me away from that action like right at the last second. But nothing quite happened, so we're okay.
Yeah, the jungle route Diamond did is pretty standard for people starting red, and with a lot of people do that lately. You do like Raids red, then Wolves blue, and you gank top, because then you're double buff and level 3, and it's a fairly early gank.
Yeah.
And top lane tends to snowball pretty hard if you can manage to get a first blood there.
and he did go ahead and get Safeguard as his level 3 ability. I know sometimes if you're thinking of staying in the jungle, you'll take 2 points of Resonating Strike and then 1 point of Tempest and Cripple, so you can just continue your jungle route. But he was looking for that early gank, so he used Safeguard to try to get into the middle of the fight onto one of his own creeps. But Renekton was very, very wise and was able to slice and dice just out of the way.
I don't play Lee that much myself, but I'm pretty sure everyone gets the W.
Do they?
Yeah, it's just really good. And you get so much attack speed from your passive and stuff if you have another spell to keep up. So you don't like lose damage from going it, and it's a lot safer if something happens, like you need to come help mid or whatever, to have it.
Now Lee Sin going ahead and stealing the blue buff right from under the nose of Shin. He is headed to his wolf camp right now. I'm sure he will go down there and see that his blue has been stolen and just be a sad, sad Shin. There's a shadow dash over the wall. Seeing the 2 creeps that Diamond so thoughtfully left behind for him, Shen's going to go ahead and clean up that camp. Now, as a jungler, do you often leave small critters or small camps just because, like, you don't know the timer now? Now Diamond doesn't have the timer on the enemy's blue buff. If he had killed the small ones, he would have had the exact 5-minute timer. What's your thoughts on that?
It depends on how you feel your lanes are going. Now it was the blue buff he stole, and his bot lane is losing. At least they were earlier. Wait, let me see.
Wow, 3
they're
flashes
actually quite
burned
even in
mid.
CS, but like just how strong they are. Bot lane is like Sona Grace is stronger than Ashe Soraka, at least for now. So he might not want to invade like the next blue, and then he'd rather slow it down for the other team.
Okay. I've always kind of wondered what the mentality of that was from a pro jungler, whether to leave those creeps or not. I most of the time when I'm juggling, not anywhere near a pro player, however, but I usually take them just so I can go and steal it later.
Yeah, but if you feel that you're not going to be strong enough to steal the next one, then you might as well wait. However, I don't know why Shen waited so long to take his blue in the first place. He even started Cloth 5, and like you're going to have so much sustain on Shen that you can easily do that. Just not quite sure why he waited so long.
So in mid, we're just seeing farming 35 CS onto Ryze to the 39 CS of Kennen. Kennen looks like he is trying to abuse the energy that he does have rather than the mana. Ryze not using a lot of his mana. He's using his overload to last hit just a little bit, but before he gets that Tear of the Goddess, there's really quite not a lot of point to it. He's not building any mana or any stacks right now. Shin looks like he's transitioning down bot for a gank. Up top at the same time, Renekton and York just kind of trading. Will he get a Shadow Dash off onto this Soraka-Ashe combo? Taking a lot of damage coming in, forced to Shadow Dash away, using that defensively rather than on the offense for Taric and Graves to come in behind him.
Yeah, it was a well-timed silence just when he was about to dash.
Yeah, and that's really the strength of Soraka, especially against a ganker like Shin, who really, really relies on that Shadow Dash to really lock down and CC someone. Soraka using her Infuse to silence them to prevent any kind of ganks that would be happening. Up top, First Blood almost going on to Yorick. Here comes Lee Sin in just to kind of punish out the Renekton a little bit. Renekton does use his ultimate and Ignite in that situation, so right now, Yorick isn't going to hold on to his Ignite, so he'll be ready in the future for another fight, another skirmish.
Yeah, CS wise it looks pretty even except for bot lane. They're about 10 ahead.
Yes, Graves is 10 ahead, using that buckshot to his advantage right there.
One thing about the jungler CS though, when Diamond steals something like the blue buff, he gets a lot more gold from his actual CS. Like if you just let Shen take all the small things and he gets the big creeps, then even if they have equal CS, he has less gold.
It looks like Lee Sin is going to transition now to his own blue buff, possibly donate that to Ryze. Ryze not doing the best job of shoving his lane at the moment, so he can go and take that blue buff. Oh, there he goes. He has decided to go it. He does have a good bit of caster minions built up, so he's able to leave and come back with his lane just about in the same position.
Nah, it's actually a pretty... It's not a very good time to go take it, because if Sara didn't try to push out, then he could have... Then Ryze would have lost a lot more. Like if he would just let the blue team push, then like the Ryze's creeps would have killed so many, and he would have missed like 2 waves of XP and gold. But Kennen pushed it back for some reason and then just left it in the middle, so they didn't really lose that much.
Soraka and Ashe forced to go back. They do have a 15 CS deficit right now. Ashe doing the triple Doran's Blade build, while Graves just went back with his 77 CS, picking up a total BF sword and a Bloodthirster. Or not a Bloodthirster, a
Wait.
Vamp Scepter, exactly.
This is kind of interesting. Why does Ryze have Sork boots and this early? Normally people go Mercs on Ryze.
That is
Especially
true.
against someone like Kennen. I would definitely go Kennen Shen. Like, Mercs would help him so much.
Yeah, Spellpin is interesting. Maybe there's something that, you know, this War Hunter guy knows about the new Rise that maybe it affords him to be able to get some Spellpin rather than the Merc Treads, but I would assume the Merc Treads would probably be a better choice, especially against the Shin, the stun from Renekton, the stun from Kennen, the ultimate from Sona. It just seems with so much CC on the enemy team that Merc Treads would have been the way to go.
It's kind of interesting too. Shen is going for a Racer early. Oh, Sona flashed and missed ult.
She did, not quite able to follow it up on there. The Frost arrows are coming out onto this Graves, trying to slow him and deal as much damage as possible. But right now, Ashe just one of those carries that is fantastic late game, but early game she just lacks the damage, the raw burst damage that Graves has. And Diamond Procs going for a dragon by himself and able to pick it up. Wow. So that dragon will be up at about 1620. He knew that his mid and bot lane were doing fairly well and pushing a little bit, so able to secure that dragon. Getting very, very low, but he's Lee Sin, and he does what he wants. So it looks like we're going to see a Wriggles on Shin. Is that kind of a normal jungle Shin? Or I thought maybe they would usually build maybe like a Heart of Gold or something a little bit tankier.
That's not something I see too much, but I'm not sure he's actually gonna finish the Wriggles. He might save it for a Blood Racer later, because it's a very good item later on for Shen. But normally, I'd say, at least when I jungle him and most others that I've seen, you go for an early Heart of Gold and then you get the Wit's End as soon as possible. Attack speed is really, really good on Shen.
Yeah, and a lot of people I see the Wit's End or maybe even sometimes the Ionic Spark being built on Shen, which not a lot of champions seem to be building at this point in time. I think it needs a little bit of a buff or a change or something. But still a great item for Shen, because it does give him the attack speed, like you said, that he so much wants and loves, and also a little bit of tankiness because of the health. And then the chain lightning isn't something to scoff at, I would say, in the midst of a team fight.
I think his Wit's End is better in every situation, though.
That is very true. It's such a great item. But I mean, would you think it was overkill to have a Wit's End and a Madrid's late game, or would it just be the icing on the cake?
That could be good on Shen, but like the problem with Madrid's, especially for a jungler, it costs so much gold, and you're not gonna get it until very late, or you're gonna be super squishy. Like the Blood Racer, that is.
That is very, very true. So up top, looking at the CS difference, Yorick's going to be rocking 86 CS to Renekton's 95. So Renekton cleaning up some nice camps there with his Call the Meek, dealing a lot of damage and sustaining himself. So is that how you thought the lane would go up there? I thought Yorick would have a decisive advantage at this point.
Yeah, I was expecting them to try to kill top a bit more with Lee Sin too.
We haven't really seen many ganks.
They already have a slow from Yorick, and then Lee Sin can catch him, slow again. Especially after he made him burn flash really early.
Yeah, I thought he was going to transition right back up there and get another gank in.
Yeah.
But oh well, you can't always expect the players to do exactly what you want. A lot of pings going down here telling Meteor Makers to be careful, it looks like. They knew that Lee Sin was kind of coming over to their own blue buff. So Kennen coming in perhaps for a gank, but there is a ward there from M5, so they definitely know of his presence in that brush. So they're just going to keep the lane right there. No more volleys from Ashe, I wouldn't imagine. Up top lane, some damage going on onto the Yorick, but they're so tanky and so sustainable that I don't really expect anything to happen up there without the aid or assistance of a jungler. So I feel like I shouldn't even really look up there unless I see Lee Sin or Shen going up there as well.
Yeah, I don't see either of them killing the other person. If anyone is to get a kill, that would probably be Yorick killing Renekton, but like Renekton shouldn't be able to kill Yorick, not when he has this much armor.
Now, First Blood still on the table, 13 minutes into the game. A little unorthodox, if you ask me, from two super,
Big
super
fight
aggressive
bottom.
teams. Down bot, the Ignite is going to put a damper on a little bit of the healing that Ashe expected to receive. She doesn't have her ultimate. She did use it to kind of disengage that fight there. Lee Sin may be in a little bit of trouble in the Shin jungle. No, the Thundering Shuriken does miss, so there's not going to be much CC to follow up onto him. So right now, still First Blood on the table, 14 minutes in, between two super aggressive teams. Is this something that you expected?
No, I'm kind of surprised of how Diamond is playing, especially when he's Lee Sin, and when they have someone like Rice mid too. Like you can just bind once and pretty much guaranteed hit the Q, or you W up and slow with like you safeguard up with Lee, and I mean you should be able to gank somewhere. Like all his lanes except well not bot actually. Soraka Ashe is not a very good lane to gank for, but both mid and top should be gankable for the Lee.
Now, do you think that a lot of this kind of passive play that we're seeing right now that's so unlike M5 is because they don't have Alex H in their mid?
Um, it's possible, but like I don't know if that would have changed much. It depends on like I'm not sure how they actually do it. Who calls stuff in game or if Alex is like the in-game leader who calls everything, then that would affect a lot.
I apologize. You turn that off. Boop. So ward coverage running down the middle for Meteor Makers right now. They've got the entire vision from top lane all the way down to bot lane. So maybe that's been the deterrent for Diamond to make any ganks right now, because they just always know where he is. Right now he's just kind of farming up his own jungle, going back. Some more trades going back up top, but that's expected. As I said, I don't think there's really going to be the First Blood is going to happen up there. If anywhere, I think it's going to happen in this mid lane. It looks like Shin starting to camp this Rise a little bit. Here he does come out onto it, but Flash is burned again. That's exactly what happened like 4 or 5 minutes ago. Everyone flashed.
And an ult for
Everyone
just one flash.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. But I mean, it is what it is. So First Blood still anyone's game at this point. The farming is going to be 139 CS for Ashe to 145 CS of Grave. So he built an advantage and looks like he's holding on to it as best as he can with his buckshot. Pings coming out from Dragon. M5 did take that first Dragon unabated with a solo Dragon take from Diamond at the 10 to 11 minute mark, and this is going to be another Dragon taken at the 16.5 minute mark. We'll see another Dragon fight, I'm sure, or hopefully something at 22:30. Right now, oh, this is going to be a 3-man gank up top. Looks like they want to tower dive this York. He has such low mana. This is not going to be good for him. He does get ignited by the Renekton. He's going to run up. He sees the two characters coming in from behind him. Kennen does not have his ultimate. Shin does, but I don't think they're going to be able to. They're not going to need to use it. That Thundering Shuriken doing so much damage right now with the Blasting Wand. 2 Amp Tomes and some nice spell pin boots against the York, who looks like he's kind of just building a little bit armor defensively at this point in time.
During that gank, Diamond tried to steal the blue too, but Zona and Graves stopped him. But then the Soraka and Ashe started to move, so they had to back off. Then he tried to, he started doing it again, and then he tried to give it to Genja, but the red buff got the last hit.
Okay, so Lee Sin did secure that buff then.
Yeah, but they wanted to give it to Ashe.
Okay. Now, M5, as we've seen in previous tournaments, is such good team fighters, and we haven't quite seen any team fights yet, so I don't think they've had their chance to shine. As far as Meteor Makers is concerned, do you know of any? I know they're kind of a lesser known team, of course, but do you know of any periods in the game or types of fights that they excel in?
Wait, so what was that, sorry?
M5 has exceptional team fighting capabilities. We know that for a fact. As far as Meteor Maker is concerned, is there any facet of the game that they really, really excel in? Or do you just kind of not know because, I mean, they're not the most well-known team?
They tend to do pretty well early game, playing very aggressive with ganks and stuff, and just pink warding everything to shut down the other team's vision early. I've seen a couple of games they've done when they have big advantages. They don't seem to play later in the game quite right. Like they don't really seem to know what to do, and sometimes lose games where they have huge advantages.
Well, First Blood has been taken by Meteor Maker, so that aggressiveness did, give them that. However, they are still 3K gold behind because of the 2 dragons that M5 has already secured. One with a nice solo sneak of Lee Sin. Looks like there may be a team fight in this jungle. There's the Sonic Wave. The Resonating Strike following up onto the Sona. There comes the ultimate, the crescendo, a nice volley and Kennen ultimate, but he's taken down so quickly between the Enchanted Crystal Harrow and some nice auto attacks from Ash. A double kill from Rise does go on to Shen and Kennen. Renekton forced a flash over the wall, but Lee Sin is in hot pursuit with a nice Resonating Strike, and this could potentially be a Baron for M5.
Yeah, most likely Baron. Shen lost an Oracle too. He just bought like pretty recently before that fight.
Yeah, I did see that. He was able to clear, I think, 1 or maybe 2 wards with it, but right now, it just didn't pay for itself. Of course, you need to kill a myriad wards before it pays for himself. Right now, it looks like they're just going to be able to DPS down this dragon. Only person alive. The Shin ultimate coming down. Will he try to get across and get a smite off? We'll see what happens. Rise flashing over the wall to try to take care of Sona. She does live with just a tiny bit of health. Diamond Procs actually going to get over the wall onto that Shin to kind of bully him away, saying, hey, you're not going to steal my Baron. But will Shin try to make a play on it? No, Rise catches him with a nice rune prism and keeps him away. So an excellent job by M5 to zone out the enemy smite right there.
Yeah, that was well played. Graves did take bot tower meanwhile, but yeah, M5 are really far ahead now.
I mean, you of course the trade Baron for a tower is definitely in M5's favor, because they're just going to try to use this Baron buff now. I think we're about to see, you know, those past 2 fights we've seen the strength of M5. Their team fighting is just so impeccable. Their ability to zone out the jungler from the Baron steal was absolutely phenomenal. So right now they know how to use the Baron, and we're about to see him use it. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow barely missing the Renekton and Slice and Dice, just getting him out of the way of that. That would have been a dead Renekton right there, with Lee Sin and Rise there to follow up. Donation of blue buff going to go on to Rise here. He does have his Tear of the Goddess in the Banshee's Veil, just making him do exceptional amounts of damage, of course, because that's how Rise is built. Right now, you look at the M5 ward coverage. They have just warded everywhere in the Meteor Maker's jungle. 1 ward did just die right there. So they have 2 wards in the jungle, peering at this red buff and just over the Baron wall. And two wards being placed in the Baron pit by Meteor Maker, but that was just, they were trying as hard as they could to steal that Baron, and it didn't quite work out for them. So right now you see Genja does have the Infinity Edge built with the Brawler's Glove that he got so early, just to give him that extra little bit of crit cushion that he wanted. Now with the Infinity Edge between that and the Brawler's Glove, he's going to be putting out a lot of damage.
Yep.
Kennen being bullied away from his own tower down here. 4 members of M5 are going to be sieging this, and they're definitely going to take it down now that the addition of Ashe is going to be able to rain down some AD damage. So this is going to be a big fight, I think, here bot lane. Shin does not have his ultimate for, I would say, 15 or so more seconds. So this is going to be a fight that M5 would love to have. All their ultimates are up, and the engage comes out on Renekton. He's going to get a stun off onto the Soraka. Here comes the Kennen ultimate, not quite able to CC anything before he goes down. The Yorick ultimate was put on the Soraka, but she wasn't quite able to use it. The tower goes down in the meantime. Great job by Ashe focusing that tower, taking it down, letting her team dive on this. The Dragon's Rage will get Graves out of position, and that is a fantastic fight. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there it is, a double kill onto Graves and Sona from Ashe. This is going to be an easy inhibitor and potentially a game.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard for. Wait. Oh, they can.
They can throne here.
Yeah, they can finish this. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty even up until the fight at the red buff.
Yeah, so this is going to be game 1 taken for M5, taken over, winning the first game of this round of the Reign of Gaming International Invitational. We're going to get into the second game as soon as possible, and then we'll continue on from there. You think Meteor Maker can make up this deficit that they just got put in, and you know, raise their morale a little bit and come in to win the second and third game potentially?